Big D here, Wilson Audio Labs. Got some guests, actually a guest. And I got Rob and I got Mr. Joe here from Joe and Tell.
What's up?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Well, I was checking. We'll get some quick feedback from the audience. Hopefully our audio is okay so we can get started. We got some good questions to go over here with Mr. Joe from Joe and Tell. Find out how he entered into the car audio world, and now he's a big hi-fi star on YouTube doing some awesome videos you guys are going to have to check out. So, how's it sound, peoples? All good is what I hear. What up, everybody? You guys are gonna like this. So I'm gonna show you something real quick. Yeah, that's right. So y'all make some good comments during the show, and we're gonna pop them up there.
Budget Audiophile. I'm a moderator over there.
There you go, Budget Audiophile. Thanks for joining in. So we will. Rob, do you want to really quickly go over the super chats we've gotten?
All right, so we'll just pop them up. FOMO on Tech, 199. Thanks, man. Let's go. I'll scroll down here. I know we had more. They're just farther down. All right, here we go. Mr. Brandon Hanna, as always, coming in big. All right, let's see who else we got. Oh, Jason Zemer. Thanks, man. You the dude. Keep up the great work in building the 12-volt community.
And we all about some 120 volt today, too.
Yeah. Oh, Donnie Tuttle. Thanks, bro.
And the car audio guy. Thank you, sir.
I missed one.
That's all right. We're good. All right, guys. So thanks. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start up the podcast. I think it's probably my turn, Rob, to start it up. And then we'll start the interview. So I'm going to do a quick countdown, Joe, and I'll do the quick introduction to the show here because this is the part we use for the YouTube or for the podcast. And then we'll start asking you questions and find out what's going on with Joe. Sound good? I take that as a yes. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 12 Volt Talk, episode 54. What's going on, guys? This is Derek from Wilson Audio Labs. Tonight we have a special guest, and he's not known for 12 volt, but he blurs the line just like Rob and I blur the line. We like home audio, we like portable audio, we like car audio, we like all of it. Anything that has audio after it. So before we get to Joe, let's find out what's going on with my co-host, Mr. Rob Vega. What's up, Rob?
Yo, what's going on? I'm ready to talk about some car audiophile and, can car people be audiophiles and these type of things?
Yes,
what about
we
you,
are.
Joe?
I'm ready. I'm happy to be here with you guys, hanging out with everyone. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for showing up here, Joe. Again, those who don't know Joe and Tell, check him out on YouTube under Joe Intel. We'll get him to explain the play on words, which is pretty slick if you ask me. But Joe's got some of the best detailed testing subwoofer home audio speaker related videos where he shows graphs and he just makes you feel smart. You watch his videos and when you're done, you're like, man, I learned something today. So you guys will have to check those out. But we're going to find out more about the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joe and Tell. So Joe.
Yeah, what's up?
Tell us a little bit about how did you start in home audio or car audio, or did you start with a Walkman? What's up? How'd you start?
Well, actually, yeah, Walkman, right? You didn't say that in your questions to me, but yeah, of course. You had to have the Walkman, and riding my bike around had, some cheapo cost headphones or something like that. Something from the warehouse, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about back in the day. And then I remember one time, after Christmas time, I had a little extra money and I saw an ad for a Craig stereo. I was like, oh, that looks good, right? So I don't even know if they make stuff anymore, but yeah, Craig stereo. Eventually upgraded to, Iowa. Big big boy toys. And then yeah, eventually when it was like around the time where I was able to get my car, then I started getting into the car audio, and yeah, kind of went on from there. So I don't know, what does that mean?
I think that's kind of the standard transition for a lot of people. You know, we kind of start off with playing with a portable player. Of course, these days it's the cell phone, right? But once you get a car, you're like, I want to hear some tunes. And yeah, I mean, everybody kind of starts off. So, what was your first car audio system like? Did you get, you know, with that Iowa, did you get you an amplifier and get you some speakers in the back with some horns on them, or how'd that go?
Oh, no horns, no horns. But I had a Mazda MX-6. It was like a 1989 Mazda MX-6, and you know, at first it was just a stock stereo, and it wasn't like the coolest car in the world. But I figured, you know what, if I put some speakers in here, maybe that'll make it a little bit cooler, at least for me. So, what did I start off with? I think I started off with one JL, you know, one W6. And then one of my friends, he didn't have a car at the time. He ended up buying two more W6s and letting me put them in my car. So I used to roll around with three 10W6s ported, and what was that? A Soundstream, like a cheater amp.
Oh, it might have
So
been the like the 10.0 or something like that.
it was the one below that.
The
I think it was a
5.0.
five. Yeah, it wasn't too crazy, but it was enough with the three JLs to you know, let everybody know when I was pulling up to school that I was
Yeah.
there. So I try to make sure to come in late.
You never had to honk the horn, huh? Like you go pick up
No.
your friends, you're like, all right, let's just turn up.
Yeah, you know, I'd be that guy who'd like I'd have to have the music queued up. If I knew I was gonna pull in, right? Gotta get this. All right, here's
Yeah.
when the bass hits, and then pull up, and then let everybody know I'm here.
Yeah, man, that was a classic combo back in the day. The trio of W6s. I had that. Derek's got some now, I think still, but yeah, that was classic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so when you started out, were you always like an SQ focused guy, or were you like a bass head at the beginning? You know, Derek and I kind of started out as bass heads, and then we gradually had a love for sound quality. But you know, everyone kind of goes a different path on that.
Yeah, well, bass, bass. I wanted as much bass because you know it was addictive. Once I had those speakers hooked up, it's unbelievable how much power. Guys were into like power, right? Powerful car, powerful system, and so that's part of the attraction. It just amazing amounts of power. But then after a while, you realize like, hey, my other speakers in here are not able to keep up. So eventually you want to upgrade those so that they sound as good as your bass. So at first it was like bass, and then it became like I need my speakers inside to give me a little more clarity, and so yeah, on from there.
Yeah, bass is always important. Joe, we're getting a little bit of that siloning again from your audio. Can you check that? Go in and check that box and then uncheck it maybe, and let's see if that
Yeah.
recycling will help that issue. Yeah, it's
So,
cleared up. Yep,
okay,
Oh
so
yeah,
cleared up.
buttery.
Yep.
there.
So we'll
That's
we'll we'll keep an ear on that for you. And I think everybody
cool.
heard what you said. It got a little bit silent, but hey, this is a new service we're using here, guys. Joe has got top grade equipment. It's definitely not anything on his side, so it's something going on with this new service we're using. We're trying it out, a new thing. YouTube shut down the Hangouts on Air, kind of pulled the carpet out from under. So Rob and I have been scrounging, trying to figure out something that'll work. So you guys just give us a break with that and understand that this is not equipment related. This is just the internet at its least finest.
I was
So
about to make a comment about my buddy at Audioholics, but I'll keep that for another show.
well, this is always the funny thing, right? This is a show we're talking about car audio and home audio, and then we start having noises, and they're like, "What's up?" You guys are supposed to have the best audio, but we understand
Oh,
that internet, can sometimes cause issues.
well, hopefully we're good now.
We're good. It sounds crystal clear now. So back to the car audio thing. So I was never in car audio competitions. Did you ever get into like go to a local competition or take your car to somewhere where they measured it or anything like that? Or were you just kind of the hey, show it to my friends, hang out, and just enjoy the system kind of thing.
Yeah, just, I'd go to the events to just, check them out and see what they're about. But I think at the time I was, 16, 17. I didn't have any money. So, these guys who could afford to put better systems, they would have killed my system, So, no, I never competed.
So with kind of with the competing, for sound quality anyways, what do you think the biggest challenge is to get good sound in your vehicle? Is that something that sound quality guys that compete know all about?
Man, what a great question. There's so much, right? There's so many challenges when it comes to a car. You're not in the center, right? You're not in the center of the two speakers. The fact that the environment is so random, it's not even a square, right? Uh, you have that factor. What else? Road noise, right? So a lot of times you'll set up your car system. It sounds good when you're parked there, and then you take off, and then that interaction with the road and the sound, that's gonna change. You know, your noise floor just went way up, right? So that's gonna affect stuff, and yeah, you have to account for all of those things, and so that makes it a lot more difficult than a home system where it's a lot more controlled. I said it in my video that when you have in this video, that when you have a home system, you can just plug in your amplifier to the wall, right? You want to hook up a new amp in your car, and you better get ready. It's gonna take a while. Got to do all kinds of stuff to just wire up an amp.
Yeah, for sure. And um, when they compete today, they don't even start their engines. They use power supplies for SQ. So that's just the level of stuff they have to go through to get a baseline of what you can get from two stereo speakers and a cheap amp in your house.
I haven't been to an event in a while, so I don't even know what it's like nowadays.
Yeah, for those unfortunately who are listening to the podcast and not watching this, you can't enjoy the picture that we're showing on the screen right now of Joe set up in his car with his bookshelf speakers on the dash of his. What kind of car is this, Joe?
Oh, that's a awesome vehicle. It's a Dodge Grand Caravan.
Dodge
You guys
Grand
didn't know about
Caravan.
that?
And I just wonder, Joe, how do you see over the speakers when you're driving? And what kind of Velcro do you use to keep these attached?
Well, just to be clear, that's not my system. That's Jay's system. So if you watch the video, you'll know there's a difference. There's Joe, that's me, and then there's Jay. That's a different guy. He's a character.
Jay's a little salty from what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. We'll leave a link in the video description below so you guys can go check that video out. Joe, you're pretty creative in your video content, but this one, just the interaction between you and your other profile or your other personality is pretty slick how you did that. But it's fun too, because you do talk about some of the things we just mentioned was, and some people don't even try to do sound quality in a car because of all the challenges. And I'm sure some of the people that are listening tonight may be the home theater, the home audio guys that say, why do you guys care about car audio? Because it's too hard and I can't put my speakers where I want to, and it's too much work. Well, it is a lot of work. And most of the guys who are in car audio is more of a DIY thing. People just want to take the time to work on it themselves, or they have the money to pay somebody else to do it. But, factory systems are getting pretty good these days, but still you can always make it better. And that's where we kind of come in. But so with that said, Joe, and everything that I just mentioned, you haven't been into the car audio scene in a while, and I know I was out of it for quite a few years before I got back into it. Do you kind of feel like car audio is dead, like with you and any of your friends? Nobody really updates anymore. You just say I deal with a factory system. And another thing is the integrated systems that are in cars now. It makes it really hard to upgrade. So, I mean, do you have many shops around you anymore, or do you just kind of think like the market's kind of dead?
Well, around here, so I'm in Southern California. We do have a few places, and I just recently went to a car audio place, and I was surprised to actually see one. But yeah, a lot of the places that I used to go to in downtown LA and all those places are gone. And you know, I think I wasn't really paying attention at the time, but I did notice that, you know, at a certain point there, I got a new car, and I was like, this system was already pretty good. It was like a Solstice, a Pontiac Solstice, and had like some kind of like monsoon system. I forget, but it was, had 500 watts, had like a sub behind each chair, and it was decent to the point where I was like, well, I guess I'm okay with it. I'm sure it could be better, but I don't want to mess with this. Like everything looked, you know, it had like a fit and finish to it. And then after that, I had a 335 BMW, and that you cannot touch, right? So to try to mess with that is crazy. And then after that, I had the F80 M3, and that same thing. Like you don't want to really mess with anything in there. They make it almost impossible to do anything. So yeah, I think all those factors play a role. But maybe if you have a car that's maybe not the newest car, um, I think it's more fun to be able to mess with your own system. So that's something that I'm happy about with this car is I can do a few things to it. But yeah, it's tough. I think with some of the new systems, what can you really do? You can kind of swap out the speakers. You can, a big thing you can do is add DSP, right, and tweak it yourself. So that's cool. But yeah, for a while there, I did see a drop off in car audio. But whether it's dead or not, I hope not. Maybe we can bring it back.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was kind of out of car audio from the mid 90s until about 2005 or 6, and I kind of thought it was dead, and I got back into it now, and it's not dead, but it's just a different audience. You've got the people that want to load their cars down with 35,000 and 50,000 watts and, just pretty much blow the windshields out. And then you still have the guys that want to do the upgrades. And luckily, a lot of the manufacturers have upped their game, and they're offering products that will allow you to keep your, 10-inch infotainment system in your Hyundai and put aftermarket amplifiers and all that, because they can integrate. They take all the different outputs and they sum them into low-level outputs to get to your amps. And there's a lot of things that can be done. It's not as easy. Like you said, back in the day, we had like a pull-out deck or a den size, and then we had 6.5s in the front and 6x9s in the back. It was real easy to replace everything then because you didn't have all the integration. But yeah, I think a lot of people maybe don't realize how big the car audio market still is. That's why I kind of wanted to get a feeling of what you thought, because you're in a hot spot being there in LA and in an area where at one time car audio was huge. But yeah, that's kind of how we see it, at least from our perspective. But it's good to get your opinion on that, and we'll transition a little bit to the home audio stuff, because I'm sure a lot of people here want to hear about the home audio setup. So when did you transition into home audio? Was that like while you were still young and a kid, or is it when you got a little older and said, well, I need to set up a little sound system here in my house, or how did that start?
I think they all went together, right? So when I had my car system, I was building my home theater at the same time. So it's not like one or the other. They just both, kind of went together. So if I was in the car stuff, I was in the home stuff. And so there was no point where it was a transition per se. But yeah, I think when it did get to the point where the car system was good enough, then I started focusing more on my home system, right? And I think back to what you said before about the car systems, I think the thing is that these car companies, they have to compete based on something, right? So a lot of times they're just adding more tech to their cars, and that might mean, all the stuff that the cars can do now, whatever, but also making the system better, right? So I was looking at a Volvo XC60, I think, something like that, and it had, a system where you could pay, I think it was like 4 or 5,000 bucks on top, and it had a nice, what was it? I think it was a Bowers and Wilkins system in there, and all DSP'd out, and I'm sure they spent a lot of time for 5Gs. I kind of expect something pretty decent. So, basically that's what I'm saying is like they're competing based on how good the system is, right? So it makes it tough.
Yeah, for sure. And they've upgraded so much from, a couple 4x10s or one 4x10 in your dash and like a Chevy Vega, uh, to now they've got, 38 speakers in some systems. But when, you know, I'm trying to think outside, there's a kind of a stigma about car audio guys. It's something that in the video that Derek popped up earlier that you talked about. Can car audio guys be audiophiles? And what is the stigma in the home audio world, towards like car audio guys that you notice? Obviously, you don't really have that opinion, but you know about it.
Yeah. I talk to these audio guys all the time, and I think it's just like any other hobby. A lot of people like to be exclusive. They try to exclude people. I feel like that's the wrong way. It's not like we have the hugest industry. This is already very small community, right? We should welcome more people in. And so, whether it's car audio, I think it's all the same, right? I think we're all the same group of folks. Whether it's audio for your car, for your home, same thing. We just like to mess around with technology, with gear, and get our hands dirty sometimes, and you know, just playing around with sound, right? It's just fun. It's all fun. So I think it's all the same thing. And for people who are saying, well, car audio guys are this or that, and they gotta loosen up a little bit. You gotta relax.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. And if you guys watching right now haven't seen it, we'll leave a link in the description. It's a very good video. I liked it a lot.
at least car audio guys have chicks in their video.
Yeah. That's the way to do it, man.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I think that was a great point. You see it everywhere, right? It's like even in car audio, it's the SQ guys versus the SPL guys, and the SQ guys are the ones that drink with their pinky up in the air, and then the SPL guys are the ones that drive through, your neighborhood with the sound, with the speakers blasting. Okay, that's not really what everybody does, but it's kind of the stigma between the two different, the opposites. But I'm like you, we're communities here, and we all like audio. We all like music. We like to have good sound. So I think most people who want good sound in their car want it in their home too. They want nice sound in their ears, a portable system. So it all comes together, and I agree 100% with what you said about not excluding people. We need to all work together, and that's why we brought Joe on 12 Volt Talk.
That's why I'm here.
Bleed the lines a little bit and get people interested in home audio and have him tell us a little bit about some of the stuff he does. So,
real quick, the funny thing is also sound quality versus SPL, or how loud your system can play. I mean, with the new systems, it's not that difficult to have a SQ system, press a button, and have it change to completely like different system, right? Change character to something that's extremely loud, right? With the press of a button. So you could have both.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe that Mecca has a class in which you do both. You need to be SPL and SQ. So that's
Awesome.
I forget what it's called, but they do have.
Another thing I was thinking about, sorry to sidetrack a little bit, is just, before going on here, I was thinking about, car audio and the fact that you have road noise. Sometimes you have to be loud. I mean, to combat all that noise, you have to turn it up louder than you might turn up your home system, right? And because you're on the road, you don't have to worry so much unless you're blasting it with your windows down, which I don't. But yeah, you can turn it up a little bit. And so I think that's part of it. You have to combat that road noise.
Yeah, for sure. And that is one annoyance with competition sound quality vehicles that I have. You get in their vehicle and they've got all these thousands of dollars in equipment, and we're listening to it at like 100 dB or something. It's very low, and it's like, come on, man, let me hear the radio. I don't, if I'm at home, yeah, we're gonna listen for the whispers and all that stuff, but I want to hear the radio.
The whispers.
Joe, I'll be honest. Rob wants to hear Ariana Grande. He's just not admitting it right now. So
I see.
I'll say it for him.
I see. I get him.
There's nothing wrong with Ariana Grande, by the way. I'm a big fan. If you're watching, what's up? Peace.
Quick question. Hey, do people put like tubes in a car system, like just in the preamp stage, so it's not super hot? I'm
Yes.
curious about that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
They have one. As a matter of fact, I just blew one up not too long ago. Blew up the whole preamp section. So
Tell me about that after the show, huh?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's not much of that still goes on, Joe. I think for a period of time in the late '90s, early 2000s, they did it, and there may be some new equipment, but like Macintosh and some of the other high end companies kind of got out of car audio. But there definitely is some equipment out there, and there's some amps. I think Rob, remind me if I'm not saying this right, that were full tube all the way through the amplifier stage and everything, right?
I think Milbert made some like that. There's a few of them, very few though.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of switching back and forth between car audio and home audio, have you ever, and don't be shy if you have, because Rob and I have both done it, have you ever put car audio in your house? Like, have you used a head unit, an amp, subs, or something when you were a kid, connected it into your room and hooked it up to a little power supply? Did you ever do anything like that?
Yeah, of course, man. Come on. Yeah, I had a little amp connected to like some 12-volt source, and then it couldn't keep up, right? So, forget that idea. But I did have that one of those W6s, right? I threw one, as my sub in the room, and actually, that's probably one of the best sounding subs I ever had in my house, right? And I
Joe, your audio is doing that thing again. Can you try to switch it? Yeah.
Switch. Disable. Okay.
There we go. Good again. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying that, the JL was probably one of the best sounding subs I've ever had in my home. And I get to test out a lot of subs. And still, to this day, that's probably one of the best sounding subs I've ever had in my home. But yeah, I used to do all kinds of random stuff. I used to put those tweeters, put them up on the wall, all kinds of random stuff.
Use the piezo tweeters. Is that your favorite?
I don't know about that.
They make your ears bleed just enough.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you do a lot of testing and very, very detail-oriented stuff with actual, instead of just your ears. Home audio, a lot of times, like, oh, just listen to it. You want to see some numbers in a lot of your videos. Have you ever considered testing home amps? If you haven't, we got a tool you maybe could look at.
No, I keep that for Big D Wiz. You got that on lock, so I don't touch that. But yeah, as far as measurements, I think it's really important because my opinion is just my opinion, right? If I can back it up with something, then I think it's helpful for you guys out there to see, okay, this is how it's measuring. And yeah, it's just another point of reference. That's all it is. I'm not saying my tests are the best and that's all you have to look at,
Yeah, and this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit into your YouTube, but my favorite video that Joe done was a huge subwoofer shootout. And you guys know I like subwoofer shootouts. I do subwoofer shootouts. Joe done a very extensive home audio subwoofer shootout, and I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. That's a fantastic, probably my favorite video that he's done so far.
Thank you. I gotta do some more.
Yeah, and I know it takes a lot of work to do videos like that, but yeah, and mixing the measurements, and I think people like that, but they also like opinion, even though it's subjective. If I'm making an opinion, people still want to know because they know that you know what you're talking about, and you've got a good ear and all that. So I like the mixture of the two. I try to keep a lot of the personal stuff out of mine because we're talking car amplifiers and it's just basically power or not power. But the home stuff, I think it's cool to show them the graphs like you do and talk about, and you got really good mics too, so you're able to capture some of the real low frequencies that you're hoping that your viewers actually have decent headphones or whatever that can actually hear it. But
right.
Yeah, some really detailed stuff that most people don't do. That's why I think it's cool. But what Rob was getting at was there's a device called the AMM1s by SMD. It's like $400, and what it does is you put your speaker wire through it, and then you probe both your positive and negatives, and you can play music, you can play test tone, whatever. It tells you exactly how much power is going to your speaker, and it also tells you the ohm load, so it tells you the impedance at whatever frequency that you're playing. So it's a really cool little tool, because I know Gene at Audioholics has got
Oh yeah.
the big dog, what they call it, the what's it called,
Audio
Rob? The
precision?
audio precision. He talked about that a couple of years ago, about audio precision helping them out and getting them one, and that does like a full gamut of tests, and they cost like $25,000. But something like the AMM1 is something that pretty much anybody who's an audio guy could kind of get into. So just keep that in mind if you ever have any idea, of wanting to test amplifier power. You can get into it without a whole lot of money.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down, and yeah, I've seen Gene's setup, and he's a legit engineer, right? Gene at Audioholics, he's a legit engineer. If I had that equipment, I don't even know what that stuff is telling me. So, like I'm saying, I try to stay in my lane. So frequency response, I can talk about that. Power, yeah, I'm willing to check it out for sure. Yeah, interested.
Cool. All right. So we're going to transition a little bit into your YouTube channel. So tell us about why you started your YouTube channel and what's up with the name.
Oh man, actually, I've been making videos for a while now, and why did I start my channel? I started my channel because I buy too much, too many toys, right? And at the time, I was running a business, and it was always an excuse that I would give myself, well, this is for the business, right? And it's probably not, you know. But yeah, I bought too many things, and I promised that it was something that would make me money, or at least help somebody else out or bring a return. And yeah, I like to keep my promises, and so that's one of the things that I decided to do was, let me review the stuff I already have, right? And that's basically it. And Joe and Tell was just because I remember doing a show and tell in elementary school, and yeah, I thought it was cool. So I figured that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to show people the stuff that I have, tell them about it, and that's basically it. I'm not claiming to be an expert in any particular thing. I'm just reviewing the stuff that I have. That's it.
So your videos have what they stand out to Derek especially, and he hit me to it, that the audio capture that you're using. I've got several questions. First, I'll list them off. What mic are you using? Do you use a pad on them to get that sound for the subwoofers? That's all I got for now.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I'm not a secretive guy, so anything you want to know, I'll tell you. Right now, it's not a good showing because I guess my mic is acting up. But what mic do I use? I have a few different mics. So for some of the tests, I use a calibrated mic. So I might use the U mic 1 if I'm doing a frequency response measurement. I have some mics from Dayton Audio for some of the sound clips that I do because I know that it has a flat response, right? The problem with some of those, they're a little bit noisy, so that's one of the issues. And then right now I'm using a Deity. What is this? D3 Pro. Oh no, sorry. Deity D3 is what I'm using right now, just because it plugs directly into the camera via 3.5 millimeter jack, and so that's just makes it easy. And then if I want to make it sound real good, I got this thing. This is the Sennheiser MKH 416 microphone. So this thing was like $1,000, and it's what they use on a lot of TV shows. And this is one of the investments that I made in my channel, right? I wanted to make sure it sounded good. So sometimes I'll have this off camera connected to a field recorder, a Tascam DR70D. But yeah, that's basically it. For subwoofers, well, I'll probably use the calibrated mics because they do get down further than this. I think this cuts off around 40 hertz. So the other ones can go, below 20 hertz for those subwoofer. Sorry, for those subwoofer sound demos.
Yeah, and I'm digging. I love the Deity mics. I've been listening to a bunch of microphone reviews, and I'm sure you guys have done the same before. And yeah, I just want a regular D3, but the D3 Pro is very cool. And then they got the S Mic 2, which is outstanding. So
I have all those. So just stick with the D3.
yeah, oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
okay. Pro
Save
tip.
yourself $100.
There we go. So see, I like you do some of that video content on your channel, it doesn't get as much love as it should. But people like me and Derek, we love that stuff.
Yeah, I don't, sometimes I don't care. Like I know I'm going to put out a video that is useful to a small group of people, but that's good enough for me. I'm not about like, oh, maximizing my views. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I care about that stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, anybody
Not all
who's not listened to Joe's videos, you don't have to be an audio guy to really appreciate the quality, because you just know, like you watch some videos and it sounds like they're talking to a tin can, or you can tell they're using a mic on a cell phone. But just that crispiness, I think, is the best way to describe it, of the audio. It's perfect. And every time, I mean, I try to, like when I watch stuff on TV, whatever my wife likes to watch on HGTV or whatever, their audio is always so good. And I'm like, what are they using to make it sound so good? And I hear Joe, I'm like, Joe's got it figured out, man. He's got that sound. It's
What's
like
wrong with
literally
us?
TV sound.
What's wrong with us? I'm the same way. I'm watching HGTV. I'm like, that looks like an echoey spot. How did they make it not sound echoey? What are they doing? Are they doing this post production? I'm always trying to figure out stuff like that.
This is why some of the like DSLR video shooter and some of those channels are so huge, because everybody that's on YouTube's watching those videos like, hey, what's he using? I need to learn tips on this and that. And yeah, I eat that stuff up.
Well, there you go. I mean, to prove what we were saying earlier, right? If you're a sound guy, you care about microphones, you care about all kinds of sound, right? Not just car audio or home audio or portable. You care about sound in general, and quality in general, right? So video quality, audio quality, they all kind of go together.
Good point. Sold me. I didn't know you were selling anything, but I'll buy it. All right.
Hey,
So
by the way, Deity is near me. I'm hoping to do a video with them soon. So let me know. I'll get you guys some Deity stuff.
sweet.
Yeah, man.
I
want it all.
know. I know you did the interview with Andrew Jones too, and another great video where you interviewed him. You guys have to check that out. That must have been really cool, because that guy's like,
A legend.
master legend speaker design.
And he has good things to say about car audio too. I don't know if you've seen any of those interviews, but he does say how car audio is really good if coming from a system design perspective, because if you're designing speakers like he does for a car, it's going to be consistent across the board, versus when he makes some bookshelf speakers, you don't know what that person's room is going to be like. So he said from that standpoint, it's actually easier.
Yeah, I guess Bose has kind of proven that over the years too, right?
Right.
Do your homework and make it sound good, or better.
Funny little thing is the guy at Deity, however you say it, his name's Andrew Jones also.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he says his SEO is really terrible.
All right. So next up, we want to know about these budget gear reviews, because I know that when you and I talked maybe a month or two ago, and you were actually putting up a little show, and you were showing people how they could, pretty inexpensively put together a decent budget home system. And I know here recently, you and Techno Dad went out and looked at all these sound bars. That's another great video I enjoy watching. But what kind of advice do you have for people that are looking for budget type home audio gear?
Budget. So yeah, I like to do this budget stuff. I'm a moderator on Budget Audiophile on the Reddit, and yeah, basically I'm just trying to get people into the hobby, right? And so sometimes they get scared away when they see some of the high price tags. And what I try to tell them is like, you don't need to spend crazy amounts of money to get into this. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, basically what would I say to somebody who's trying to get into it is look at the stuff that's more important first, right? There's a kind of like an order of operations when it comes to audio. And sometimes people get into it, and the first thing they'll ask me is like, hey, so what cables are good? Like, that's what you really want to focus on, cables first. Like, out of all the things that you can focus on, you want to focus on what cables to use. How about focus on the speakers, focus on the placement within your room, and really try to figure out what your expectations are, right? What is it going to be used for? What's the size of your room? And then what's your budget? So, yeah, that's kind of what I try to tell people about is what's the most important, because in the whole scheme of things, everything does matter. Yeah. All the little things matter, but how much does, this, I don't know, how much does this one small thing affect the sound compared to your speakers? You know what I mean? That's not equal.
So you're saying I wasted my money on my pure silver RCA directional RCAs?
I don't know. If you already balled out on your system, then it might be that one last thing that you can do. Maybe you're maxed out. Maybe you can't even make it sound any better except
I
for
don't know.
that. So
It doesn't sound that great. I think I might have them hooked up backwards.
I'm just
It's 'cause
looking.
you
This guy said, "Go ahead." Sorry. No, I'm looking at a comment. It says Joe looks more like a skateboarder.
Oh, okay. So we might as well get it out of the way now. Derek and I, back in the days, we found out that a lot of car audio guys back in the days were BMXers or into BMX at some point. We rode BMX. Did you ride BMX or were you a skateboarder?
No. I actually I couldn't afford the PK Ripper was what I wanted at the time, but I couldn't afford that, and so I had like a red line, something like that. But it was cool. I messed
Heck
around
yeah.
with that.
That's
I
my
used
main
to
bike.
the red line. Yeah, you know what?
360.
Funny story. It was a little bit heavy, because it was all about who had the lightest bike at the time. But yeah, I remember one time riding my bike with the pegs. Right, you had to have the pegs, right? Riding my bike and holding a speaker box in the other hand. That was a tough ride home.
That
So
was on every image of LA that you see is someone on a bike holding a speaker box. I think from the 90s.
Hey, pictures or it didn't happen.
yeah. That's funny.
Oh, that's funny. Recycle your mic one more time, Joe. I think you're just starting to silent again.
Yeah. This is the new streaming software's fault.
Disable, enable.
Yep, we're good again.
Wonder what that is.
I don't know. It's like a timer.
And this software is still in beta, so
okay.
Yeah, it's one of them things.
Sounding like Gene right now.
Speaking of Gene, he's talked about a lot about the cables and all the different things that the manufacturers try to do to get your money. I think it's funny that you brought that up too, because in a lot of ways, I think people think that, audiophile guys, especially home audio guys, are the kind that want to spend, $75 a foot on the fancy cables or the directional RCAs that have the silver lining or whatever. But it's just funny that you guys are kind of in our agreement saying, hey, it really doesn't matter. It's just moving electrons.
Gene is awesome, by the way. Shout out to Gene at Audioholics.
Shout out to Gene for sure.
Yeah, and before we move on, Joe does have a couple good videos talking about kind of audiophile or audio fool type stuff. Specifically about the cables, I think it was.
Yeah. I made a video about what was that, snake oil, and the funny thing is, that's just my opinion. It doesn't even matter. Like, the truth is, it doesn't matter. If you want to be into cables, and that's cool. And the funny thing is, somebody from Cardis Cable, Angela Cardis, they make high-end cables. She contacted me the other day, and we're still cool. She said, hey, I'm going to be over here at Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. I want to invite you out. So it doesn't matter, right? We can still all be cool, regardless of what your opinion is. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yep. Yeah, I'm like you though. You really want to decide where you want to spend the money. If you have unlimited money, then buy it all. But if you're setting up a system, don't buy the $100 speakers and the $400 cables. Let's try to balance this out right.
Yeah, when you have money to burn, why don't you spend on anything, everything? Who cares?
Why don't you donate to Joe and Tell and 12 Volt Talk, and if you get all this money, so we could definitely use it.
So while we're talking about YouTube, I've already said my favorite video that you've done. If you wanted to get someone in your channel, which video would you recommend them watch?
You're talking about from a car audio perspective, from car audio,
or just in general, because most of our guys are in audio across the board.
Um, my Bose video is the one that's most popular. It has like over 800,000 views, and it's just because people know that brand. And what I tried to do in that video, and somewhat unsuccessfully, was show the frequency response because they don't publish their frequency response, right? You'd imagine if you look for Bose frequency response, with the number of units that they sell, you'd expect there to be all kinds of graphs, right? But there weren't. So I figured, you know what? Let me test out some of the Bose gear and see how does it respond in room. And so I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like the response is very weird. I had to make an update video because of the way their speakers are set up. It's meant to actually reflect off the back walls, and so it's hard to measure that properly. And so I had to append that video and make a new one. But I would say something like that where you realize like, hey, you have Bose. A lot of people own Bose stuff, and maybe you should understand how sound works, and maybe it'll introduce you to other things. Maybe that video and the other one where I compare the bookshelf speakers, some inexpensive bookshelf speakers, to HomePod, because basically what I'm trying to do is take a product that is very popular and mainstream and compare it to something that may not be as mainstream and what people think is a complicated setup and actually isn't, right? So 2 channel, 2 speakers, bookshelf speakers, and a cheap Class D amp is not really complicated.
Yeah, it's all about that psychoacoustics. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, love it, Rob.
There you
Did
go,
you push
Derek.
that one up?
Yeah, I pushed that one up. Rockville Sam got you.
Yeah, got him. I appreciate you letting me use that clip too, Rockville Sam, because that's a great one. So I did have another question that I kind of skipped over from earlier. It's back to the home audio stuff, because this is something that I'm really into and I've been into since I was probably 14 years old, when I got my first hi-fi stereo VCR that you could do Dolby surround, way back before there was any Dolby Digital or any of that stuff. So are you into home cinema, like with projectors and stuff like that? I don't remember seeing a video that showed a projector that you were messing with, but maybe you have. But tell me about that.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a projector. I'm using a BenQ HT3550, a 4K. It's a pixel shifting one. And that's what I used. Before that, I had a BenQ 1080p projector. And so, yeah, BenQ actually sent this one out for me to review. And I have done a few other projector reviews. Hope to do more. But yeah, I definitely have a Atmos setup here. Only a 5.2, 5.1.2, but I actually have ceiling speakers and all that. Yeah, yeah. I'm
You know,
into home theater.
this wasn't in the doc, but what's the cheapest you can get? This is totally side.
Yeah,
What's the
let's do it.
cheapest Atmos setup you can get
Oh, cheapest Atmos?
that's not a
Uh,
sound bar?
Not a soundbar.
Yeah.
You know, uh, some of these Denon receivers are super cheap now, right? If depending on how many channels you want, but if you just want a 5.1.2, I mean, you can find like these Denon receivers that are like $300, right? That are Dolby Atmos, and it depending on your room, you can get some Pioneer BS22 LRs, and set those up all around and get yourself a decent sub. Or you could set up some Mica speakers, Mica MB42Xs, and set those all around. And your biggest cost is probably going to be the sub, right? So it's a funny thing because we're going to circle all the way back to being a bass head. And the truth is, I think the bass is the hardest thing to reproduce, right? Bass requires you to move a lot of air, which means that you need a good cone, a good driver. You're going to need a good amplifier. And so that's a place where I think it's a good idea to spend your money, because the mid-range and the highs, you can get some inexpensive speakers that can do that, right? These micas, that's what they're kind of known for being super cheap and having a good crossover network where they're pretty flat and they sound good. They just can't produce a ton of bass. But some of these subwoofer companies, SVS, and some of these guys, they make some nice subs that are not gonna, they're affordable. You could get a used one for maybe like $400, right? Powered, so that's the amplifier and the sub. Get a SVS SB 1000 or something like that, or SVS PB, the ported version. You can get something like that. They have a used, what is it, like a B stock on their website. So look on there. But that whole system will probably cost you, let's see, 4, 7. You could probably do it under $1,000.
And that's killer because I'm working on I'm recreating a passive version of the Carver Sunfire Junior. I've got the drivers, so I'm making it passive because I want to do my own amp on it, and I want to try it in my car. But
Question.
yeah.
Is that related to the Sunfire True subwoofer? I remember that back in the day.
Yep, it's the smaller one. It's the 8-inch. And Derek, do you remember how big the amp they had on that was?
Like 2,700 watts or something.
I think the Junior was 1,200 watts on an 8 with a passive, and it's the box is literally 9 by 9 by 9.
Does the thing walk?
Yeah.
Do you have to put weight on it?
It probably would. It's meant to be corner loaded. I'll have a video up on my channel at some point of it, but yeah, it's gonna be cool.
That's gonna be a hit video.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, Joe. The point you brought up about the subwoofers and home audio and home cinema, because that's the one thing the car audio guys have a big benefit of, because you're sitting inside the enclosure, right? When you're in the car, you're sitting in there with the speaker and you're actually inside of a closed environment. So you're kind of like in a bandpass box, kind of in some ways, and you get that cabin gain and all that stuff. That's an advantage of putting an 8-inch subwoofer in a car. A lot of cases will give you a lot more bass than having a 12 or 15-inch in your house, because you've got all the different environmental issues that you just already talked about. And so that's obviously a challenge. So it's interesting that you say that, bass is one of the harder things to reproduce in the home system. But I can agree, because just the car audio part is super simple to get pretty decent sound. But at home, depending on where you're at in the room, like, hey, it sounds good over here, but over here, I'm not getting anything. My wife's like, I don't hear the bass, so I'm going to go turn it up. But, so that's interesting. And I think that's part of the learning process too, about understanding, how many subs do you need to kind of equalize the room and things to that nature.
Do you guys find it interesting that the subs in a car, if you look at the motors and the surround on those things, they look way beefier than most home subwoofers?
Yeah, for sure. They are, and I guess that's just being in the environment of the car.
But I mean, like the monoliths and the SVS. I mean, if you take those are pretty beefy. But you're talking about general, like a general sub, like the Pope $100 sub I did.
I saw that thing. If you threw that in the car, you'd probably wouldn't be very impressive. But I'm talking about some of those crazy ones, like the surround is like huge on some of those car audio ones.
Yeah, because they handle between like 3 and someone can handle. I've got a woofer here that's rated to handle 6,000 watts RMS, 12,000 peak, and it's 87 pounds, I think. So it's just a monster, but it's designed for SPL competitions. It's designed to fit in a specific box, play a specific frequency, and just hit the mic way up high. Now there are some. I know Sundown makes some subs that do good, that are really big, beefy subs that actually have good sound quality too. So it's all about the motor structure. And
stay tuned Monday. I'll have some updates on that Sundown comment he just had.
Ooh, I know what he's going to show.
Yeah,
I know what he's going to show.
Do you guys play around with servos for the subwoofer to control the movement of the sub?
That didn't get big in car audio. I think Kef did that, didn't they?
I know Rhythmic.
Velodyne.
Velodyne. Yeah.
So, Joe, I'm going to tell you the quick story that I've told everybody here before, but I'll tell you. So back in about 94, 95, Phoenix Gold put an ad in a car audio and electronics that showed an 8-inch subwoofer that was inside of an acrylic enclosure. And they were like, it was an isobaric. So they were two facing each other. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about this new servo technology where these two 8s could do the sound, pressure, and everything output of 4 15-inch subs. I'm still waiting for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a pie in the sky. And it wasn't April 1st when that magazine came out. So I don't know what happened. Something screwed up, but
I think it's more for sound quality, right? a lot of times it's more for SQ to control, really control that sub, right? Because of inertia and all that, you want to try to control that. Anyway,
Yeah,
just
for
wondering.
sure. I mean, that's the kind of the same principle for setting it up ISO is, having more cone control because you won't get as much output. You better play lower, have more cone control. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry to derail the
Oh,
conversation.
that's
There.
we live on
Serious.
that stuff, man.
We live derailed. So Joe, tell everybody here online where is the best place to find you, and anything you want to pimp about your channel, what you're doing, what your plans are, anything you got coming up, anything like that. Tell us what you got going on.
Yeah, so you can find me on youtube.com/Joe and Tell. That's my YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram at Joe and Tell and Facebook at Real Joe and Tell because the other one wasn't available. Same thing on Twitter, Real Joe and Tell. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm working on a new project called Daily Hi-Fi. It's a website, and just trying to get everybody together, including you guys. Hopefully, I want to work with you guys in the future and bring in the entire audio community. You know what I mean? David Carlson, I see you over there. Budget Audiophile, reddit.com/budget audiophile. I'm there too. And we try to help people out with, affordable audio. People
Yeah,
who are
man.
just getting into it.
That's what we're into. We like to ball on a budget.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the other thing, what else do I have coming up? So Daily Hi-Fi, I've been really working on that, trying to come up with different ways to get, what you guys are doing, trying to get the community together, right? And so I think we can work together on that. And Rocky Mountain Audio Fest is coming up, so I'm going to be there. I'm going to be showing the budget room, so $1,000 and under, trying to find what the best sound I can get, and I'm hoping to really show a system that's going to impress people. So I'm going to be doing some talks over there about how to get the younger generation into audio. I'll be doing talks about what we talked about, how to get a good system if you're just first starting out, like how to put together a good system. So I'll be there, Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. That's coming up in a month.
All right, sounds good. Well, we were about to hit the top of the hour here, the end of the normal podcast. So we just want to remind those who are listening, make sure you go to youtube.com/12etalk. You can subscribe to our channel there. You can watch the video version where we sometimes show cool pictures. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes you can see my bald head. Sometimes you see the little dude at the top up here that's got an afro. And people keep asking me, why you have an afro, D? Anyway, it's a long story. But thanks to Joe for joining us tonight. We greatly appreciate his time talking about the home audio, talking about all the good stuff that we have going on there. And please check out his channel, youtube.com/Joe and Tell. And we'll leave links in the video description below so you guys can go check him out. Hit subscribe, put a comment in his video telling that you heard about him from 12 Volt Talk. And again, what we're trying to do here is gather the community together. Home audio, car audio, all the different genres of audio, and try to make a real big community here so we can, help spread a little bit of the excitement of all the different levels of audio and get people into it, because that's what it's all about. It's about growing the hobby, growing the environment of audio. So we want to give a quick shout, Rob, to a couple more of our super chats.
Yep, I got them listed. I'll just hammer through them real quick. Thank you, FOMOTech, Brandon Hanna, Jason Zemer, Donnie Tuttle, the cardio guy, Rick Quattlebaum, the cardio guy again, and Charles Brown.
And just to let everybody know who's helping us out with the super chat. So we've been upgrading our equipment some, and we've also changed some of our software that we're using for the show, which is really cool because we can actually push the comments out so you guys can see them. So we'll be doing that in the after show, and we'll get some more questions for Joe, so you guys can go ahead and start queuing those up if you're ready. And again, thank you, Joe, for your time tonight, for joining us for this. Stick around with us for a little bit for the after show, and we'll get some more questions for you from the audience. And everybody who's watching, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week. 12 Volt Talk.
Thank you.
Out. Later. Bye-bye.
All right, let's find some questions. Y'all ask away. So Seth says something about Kenwood did a Sigma servo. Okay, that was
Uh-oh.
the car.
I accidentally knocked over you.
You sure did. You stepping on my feet, man.
Orion, man, came in big.
I see that. Thank you.
All right, let's go back to what you said.
While flipping you off too.
Yeah.
So much for monetization on this. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a love hate.
That was fun. Yeah. Hopefully it was somewhat entertaining for you guys out there.
Yeah, you guys got any questions?
Yeah, I'm scrolling back through to see if I see any ones that we missed.
Here's
Have
one for
you
Joe
used-
here.
Yeah. Carver home audio products. No, I always saw that Sunfire True subwoofer, and I remember it said Bob Carver on there, and I've always wanted to test it out, but never got a chance. Just through magazines, right? No,
Yeah.
never.
Yeah, I must have heard.
Sam says, Joe, in your opinion, do you think it's important to get a flat frequency response? You see that one?
Yes.
Okay. You think it's important to get a flat frequency response for great audiophile sound, or do you believe in voicing and boosting, cutting different frequencies? Yeah, I said in my last video, I think flat is the target, right? Because if they're producing, using flat speakers and you're using flat speaker, then let the engineer determine how it's supposed to sound, right? If you want it to sound the same, right? But I do applaud some of the companies that have their own kind of sound signature, because that takes a little bit of guts, right? And so I think it really depends. With the new active stuff, you can change it anyway, right? If you have a little bit of tone control or some kind of DSP, you're going to be able to change the sound how you want it. To me, what's most important is if the speakers are capable of producing all the sounds, right? If they can play all the sounds, and I don't care if they boost or cut, as long as they're capable of playing all the sounds, right?
Yeah, I think for me, I wouldn't say like a flat response, but a non-peaky response. So as long as it's smooth, I'm okay. Because sometimes if it's completely flat, you can get a little bland in the sound, and you'll want to kind of change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that, because at least, for me, I think flat is boring, but it allows me to change it to however I want. But yeah, definitely peakiness. Another thing to me is if the sound signature, if the frequency response isn't perfect, but it's obviously on purpose, that's a big deal to me. Versus some people, like, they got like huge dips, and I'm like, dude, that wasn't on purpose. That's because you didn't engineer that thing right.
Yeah, that's for sure. Our buddy Joaquin Juarez says, "Man up and get 218s in your home theater set up." He's a bit crazy.
Yeah, I need to man up. I'm sure my neighbors will love it. What is the loudest car system you've ever experienced? You know what? I'm old school, man. I'm telling you, I haven't heard any of the new systems, so I'm sure what I would expect to be loud is probably not loud today. But it was that old school Serwin Vega stroker van with a bunch of strokers in there. I just remember thinking, like, what the heck? This is ridiculous. So I don't know what that is in today's standards. Probably super weak.
I don't think it's super weak, but it's a different experience these days. Can you recycle your mic one more time? It's
Yes.
Got a little Cylon effect again. Just to let you know, we set in EXO's little blue car that he has. It's 160 decibels. Rob and I both set in there. That is an experience.
Yeah, 160 decibels at 24 hertz.
24 hertz. Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. So
yeah.
Our buddy Fro asked, this is an Arkansas brand here, so what are your thoughts on Klipsch?
It's funny. That's a very popular brand, and I've never reviewed any Klipsch speakers because they don't like, put it this way. I get so much stuff sent to me that I am very hesitant to go out and buy speakers because I have a whole storage unit full of speakers. So usually what I try to do is, like, I'll reach out to these companies and I'll say, hey, do you want me to review your thing? It's going to be beneficial to you, right? Just send me the thing. I'll send it back. I don't care. I don't need to keep it. But they're not very responsive to me, so I haven't reviewed them. But I do have plans on reviewing some Klipsch speakers because my buddy Chana, he actually bought some, and so he's gonna send it around to some of us to review.
You need to get some of the OG Heresy speakers. You remember those?
I've seen them, yeah.
Oh man,
Another fellow YouTuber, Youth Man, he has a dedicated home theater. He has a La Scalas.
yeah,
Yeah,
those were
Youth
killer.
Man's setup is insane. I love the way he did his screen that covers up his speakers, and then he flips it up. He's got like on a tilting mechanism, and then he can work on all this stuff. And yeah, you guys are gonna check his videos out too. That sound is his home theater is just pretty slick. It's not a huge room, but it's really nice little setup. I think he's got what, about 6 or 8 home theater chairs in there, Joe. Does that sound about right? Is it
I
6 or
think
8?
I think it's 6. I think it's 6.
6.
I could be wrong. You guys rock a home theater?
I've got a budget. Yeah, I've got a 1080p projector and 5.1 set up with was it Onkyo? Yeah, it's an Onkyo receiver. I don't have Atmos though.
I've got
Yeah.
a Rockville sound bar, not a sound bar, but just like a little suitcase type thing, just basically to make TV louder. But I need to get something set up.
Big D Wiz, what are you using for your speakers?
I've got Boston Acoustics speakers that I bought, like my first big home theater speakers I bought back in the day, back in the 90s. They're 2 6.5s and a 1-inch tweeter, and then the center channel has got 2 6.5s, a 4-inch, and a tweeter, and then the rears I've just got Polk Audio 5 1/4 with soft domes. So I've got, it's on my channel. If you do the search for like a budget home theater under my channel, I kind of, it's a boring video, but I show you all the different components and what I use. I've upgraded a few things. I wanted to upgrade the projector, but I had an issue trying to get a new one in. But I like it for what it is. I don't have a screen. I just use the wall, and with the lights out and the blinds closed, it's pretty freaking amazing. So I can imagine it will look really nice with a screen. But
Silver Ticket, man, those are inexpensive. Silver Ticket on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
The thing for me is like when it has that border, it really makes it look like official. You know what I mean? Just a little cut off the lines.
Yeah, Rob has seen mine because he came here before. I mean, what did you think, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I can't judge it right because you and JDR were making me watch a movie about 3 or 4 in the morning. So I might have fell asleep once or twice during that, but yeah, it looked pretty good.
It was Mission Impossible, man. You can't be falling asleep during Mission Impossible. It's a great movie. All right, let's see what else we got here. The one thing that wasn't here, but have you noticed, Joe, some of the guys using the 24-inch stereo integrity subs for home audio? And you know that the stereo integrity and Sundown like share a facility.
No way. My buddy Life of Bliss, he has a channel. You seen his?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Those subs are massive. But I've seen several other home audio guys are building huge, like, was it 13 cubic foot or something enclosures for those subs? It's just massive. And they're using Life of Bliss guys using, what is the amp called that he uses? It's a fake one, I know, but it's
a fake one. Well, I don't know what does he use.
It's some like theater brand that people talk about. It's like a German name, but I think the market was flooded with ones that aren't real because it says it's like 24,000 watts or something. And I'm like, what kind of outlet are you plugging that into? You just wiring it straight into the pole.
That'd be an interesting one for you. They have man, I'm trying to think of the names. Like I think Behringer had one called the iNuke, right?
I
tested the iNuke, 6,000 watts. You can watch it it's on my channel. It did about 2,300 watts per channel. Still a lot.
It's a lot.
It's not.
Are you talking about the Crown?
No. The one Life of Bliss has is it's a German name, and I think it's 2 names, and I don't know why I can't think of it right now. But it's there were supposedly some Chinese knockoffs of the real thing. Because the real thing, I think, is literally what the theaters use. They're super high end, and then he got a version that's a knockoff, but they're supposed to be still pretty good. But I think it said somewhere between 10 and 12,000 watts is what they put on there, but I'm sure they don't do that much. Maybe we can get one in and try.
Well, I've got a good video idea for Joe and Tell. Get
Let's
some
hear
of those white, the white van speaker box speakers.
Okay.
And stuff. Yeah, do like a video series with all those.
Man, where do I get those?
You got to go to like a sketchy parking lot. I'm sure you've got a gas station, a Walmart.
A Walmart. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I'm sure I can find something. I'll go to downtown LA.
Yeah, no kidding. Speaking of which, like, if you guys hadn't seen Joe and Tell's latest video, he has got the dopest Best Buy ever. Like, my Best Buy is a freaking joke compared to what you got going on.
Yeah, man. We're lucky over here, I guess.
Yeah, we have Magnolia Best Buy here. I've never been to it, but yeah, the one that you guys have, it's got everything. I mean, that Macintosh amp, well, it was like a $10,000 or $12,000 amp that was right there on the end cap.
Yeah, you know what? They have expensive gear, but I wish they would have more like mid-price stuff, like the stuff that I review. You won't find it at Best Buy, right? You won't find it anywhere except for Amazon. So that's the mistake I think a lot of these companies are making, like these retailers.
Have you, Joe? Have you ever heard the Martin Logans? Do you like those, the electrostatics?
You know, we have them at the Best Buy. I need to hear them in my house. You know, I need to like hang out with them for a good week or two. Martin Logan, what's up?
Hey, Martin, hit me up too, because I want to hear some of my house. Dude, I'm gonna just tell you, going back in the day again, this is back to around early 2000s when JL first introduced their W7 sub. The same day that I listened to my first W7 that blew my mind about a 10-inch sub that sounded like 3 or 4 15s, I also listened to the Martin Logan Aries. I can't remember the brand, the style. They make several different ones, but this one had maybe a 10-inch sub in the bottom, and then the electrostatic panels that went up. They were about 6 feet tall. Had a really nice couple monoblock amps set up in the sound room. Then you had the chair. You know, everybody's got to get in the chair. Dude, he turned that thing on. I thought I was going to start crying. I heard people playing over here. I heard people playing over there. I heard the fingers. I mean, I heard the blood pumping in the guy's finger. It sounded so good. I left there saying, one day when I make it, I'm going to get some of those. Or either Martin Logan's going to contact me and say, I'm going to send you some of our speakers to try out, Derek. I tried. But yeah, you got to check them out.
I got the Connect over there, so we'll make it happen.
There you go, man.
I'll just use your numbers. You know what I mean? I'll be like, hey, this guy got 130K subscribers.
Yeah.
Send it to that guy. And then me afterwards.
Yeah. Then like trickle it down to me somehow. It's like a pyramid scheme. We'll start with Derek and then we'll just trickle it down.
I'm just gonna use you all the time. You know.
I know a famous YouTuber.
Yeah. I can't believe you guys dressed up, man. That's so cool.
I stopped because it got super hot here, but it rained tonight, so it's chilled off in the house. It's not so bad.
I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Nobody's ever done that for me, so
it's respect, man. We appreciate you taking your time out of your schedule to join us and talk with us. And I know everybody who's watching or listening appreciates it too.
And anytime. Like honestly, I hope to have one of you guys or both of you guys on my. I think what I'll do is I'm just gonna do a pop-up, like a random one. Like if you're not subscribed, if you don't have that notification bell, you'll never know that we went live, or you might miss it, or you might get lucky. I don't know. But I'm thinking of just doing random ones. Like I'll just call you up and say, hey, you want to be live? All right, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just random. If you guys are down.
I'm down.
Yeah,
no agenda whatsoever, just talking. And then include the people in the chat here and just hang out. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, Derek, while I'm thinking about it, what were the speakers that we listened to at Chad's house a couple years ago?
I don't remember the brand. I know you'd ask.
Yeah.
What's up, Seth Fisher? I see you there. Have you noticed the older speakers tend to sound better than many of the new speakers available on the market? I'm not sure if you're referring to car audio, home audio, but I wouldn't say so. Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I'm definitely not better than those And definitely the new ones are better than those ones where the foam surround used to fall apart, right?
Yeah.
So better than those, right? Um, but what is the new trend? I mean, the new trend is just better materials, right? So I have nothing against a paper cone, you know. I'm sure if I heard some of those W6s today, I'd probably still be impressed. So I don't know. Here's a question for you guys. What's like equivalent to that nowadays? Like, let's say I didn't want to spend JL Audio W6. I'm talking about the old W6, right? With the what is it? Not the inverted dust cap, like just a straight up old school look, like the one you had up the other day, Hi-Fi Vega,
Yeah.
right? Um, what would be equivalent to something that sounds similar, but if I didn't want to spend a ton of money now, could I do that?
I would say it's probably like the Sundown Audio SA12 would be one of them. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, the SA12, and I'm gonna get some flack for this, but I'll say it anyway. The Rockville K9,
Yeah,
the
for sure.
12-inch K9 is $119, and Rockville got a lot of heat because they post their RMS numbers way too high, and if they just fix that, I think it would solve a lot of the world's problems. But anyway, the sub sounds really good. $119, I think, and I bought the 8, the 10, the 12, and the 15. I was going to do a video kind of comparing all different ones, and I used the 15 outside, like for my daughter's birthday party.
Mhm.
And it was rocking the whole neighborhood, man. I mean, it sounded really good, really deep. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Rockville K9. I would check
then-
those out.
One I completely forgot that you can get for around $100. This Savard Pro Series 12s. I got 2 of them in ISO. Those are absolutely some of my favorite subs of all time, and you get them for about $100 each.
Were those good back in the day though? Like,
Oh,
cause I
yeah,
remember
man.
there were speaker brands that like you kind of wanted to stay away from back in the day, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't want to like call out anybody in
Sparkomatic.
particular, but back in the day it was like,
Funky Pump.
you just don't mess with certain brands. But you know what?
Yeah.
There's another brand that somebody recommended, and I don't remember the exact name. It was like 3 letters. Like I don't remember the
Is
exact
it
name. Like
EMF?
no, it was like VSX or something like that. It's not.
Oh,
That's not it.
NVX.
NVX. So what's up with those?
Yeah,
Good?
NVX.
Not good?
I don't have any of their subs. I've played with some of their amps, and they're pretty good. I know Brad, one of the other YouTube guys, likes the NVX stuff a lot. So yeah, I think they'll probably be pretty good.
Yeah, they do a lot of OEM stuff, so a lot of their stuff you're getting a really nice like DIY type driver that they OEM from somebody else. So they do some really nice stuff. Speaking of that K9, Derek, I might do a impromptu live stream Friday myself because we got something coming from Rockville. So
NVX. Yeah. So yeah, those NVX. Okay. I'm just reading the
So
comments
Joe,
here.
yeah, Joe, the biggest thing I think to realize with today's car subs versus like the older school ones is you can get a lot of freaking output from an 8-inch or even a 6.5. Rob, we've got a Savard 6.5, and Rob built a custom box for it that's only, I mean, it's about the size of 3 shoe boxes. And that one 6.5, he's got a video. It's shaking his rear view mirror with what? How many watts? 300 watts on it, Rob?
I actually had 600 watts on it.
Yeah, but still, just that one sub. So you don't have to get 212s anymore. You can get 2.8s, and it's plenty for the normal guy. You know what I mean? And 2 or 3 6.5s is plenty. So you don't have to take up your old trunk. You don't have to do the things that we used to have to do because the new subs have just got so much more moving mass and they push so much more air. They've got so much more X Max than the old subs. That's what kind of I've noticed with the newer stuff versus the older. You do have to give it a little bit more power, but power is cheap. I mean, you can get a 500 watt amp, that fits in the palm of your hand, and it only costs $110 or something. So
yeah, and
Isn't
if
that cool though?
you need a sub for that Caravan, man.
I know. I need something custom. I need something for the center console because I don't want to take up too much space. So I need it to be right in there. So it's gonna have to be custom.
That little 6.5-inch closure I made, I think is what, Derek? Is it 12 inches? No, it's not even that. Or it might be. 12
Well, right
inches
now-
by
Big.
4 inches.
I do have a sub that I made. It's called the Voxel sub. It's a DIY sub, and you'll laugh. It's a 5 1/4 inch, so even smaller, right?
Yeah.
And dude, like I've measured. That's the one that I measured in the subwoofer test that hits down to like 35 hertz, right?
Yeah.
And it's the size of a shoebox, right? And
Wow.
it does. I can show you. It does rattle the. It moves the rear view mirror. Not crazy, but it moves it.
This is the one I'm talking about here. This
Yeah, that's-
thing.
That sub is $69, and then whatever the cost of the materials for the box. So, I mean, literally, it's
Yeah.
dirt cheap.
It's pretty small.
Is that like 3D printed? What is that? How come it looks like
It's
there's a sheen on it?
It's a I stained it. It's a plywood, a grade 8 plywood that I just stained, but I didn't gloss finish it. So that's why it's
Got
got
it, got
that. Yeah.
Rob took my sheen from the picture up there at the corner, and I used it for his box.
I'm trying to look at all the comments here.
Yeah, they're coming in
all
now.
publicity is good. Yeah, all publicity is good. Yeah.
Let's see if
I'll
we
stay
can-
out of that one. Let's see here. Okay. Ultimax, yeah. Those guys at Parts Express are awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys mess around with Parts Express stuff?
Yeah, we had Jeff Snyder on not too long ago. He works. He's kind of doing car audio stuff for him.
Got it. Yeah, see, it's all the same, right? Car audio, DIY community.
Yep.
Y'all just got to get together. You know, you guys are the cool guys in the community. Car guys are the cool guys. I want to hang out with you guys. All right.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think we're good. I don't see any more questions.
Yeah, I think
Cool.
we're good.
All right, YouTube, thanks for sticking around and joining us here. We're gonna sign out of the stream for this week, and Rob will see you back next week. I will not be here next Wednesday, but Rob will be with a special co-host.
Yeah. Special in many ways.
Yep, special.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Kind of like my hat. Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time, man. We'll talk about our business venture.
Yeah. Let's see.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
All right. Catch y'all later.
All right.